Well, I've been down there many times. I know the wreck site very well, as does my friend Bob Ballard. I've been made 33 dives. I actually calculated that I've spent more time on the ship than the captain did
What's
back.
up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, still on the Titanic submersible story. This time it's James Cameron talking about it, the legendary film director. In case you don't know him, he has directed big movies like, of course, The Titanic, The Terminator, and recently Avatar. Apparently, he is an experienced sea explorer. He also designs submarines that do this type of things. He claims to have gone way deeper than how far the Titanic wreckage is. He talks about how Ocean Gate was not certified to take people down there. He lost friends in the process. He goes on and critiques the vessel and Ocean Gate CEO as well. Okay, let's listen to what he says.
back in the day. And of course, as a submersible designer myself, I designed and built a sub to go to the deepest place in the ocean, three times deeper than Titanic. So I understand the engineering problems associated with building this type of vehicle and all the safety protocols that you have to go through. And I think that what Bob said, because I was watching, is absolutely critical for people to really get the take home message from this, from our effort here, is deep submergence diving is a mature art. From the early 60s, where there were a few accidents, nobody was killed in the deep submergence, until now, is more time than between Kitty Hawk and the flight of the first 747. So if we haven't improved over that period of time, we have improved drastically over that period of time, and the certification protocols that all other deep submergence vehicles, except this one, that carry passengers, especially paying passengers, all over the world in tropical waters, deep coral reefs, other wreck sites, and so on. The safety record is the gold standard. Absolutely. Not only no fatalities, but no major incidents requiring all of these assets to converge to a site. Of course, that's the nightmare that we've all lived with, since all of us entered this field of deep exploration. We live with it in the back of our minds. But because implosion, as Bob described it, such a violent event, um, is first and foremost in our minds. The pressure boundary, which is what they call the hull of the sub that the people go inside, is obviously first and foremost in our minds as engineers. And we spend so much time and energy on that. And we use all the computerized tools available today, finite element analysis. We worked on our sphere for our deep vehicle that went to the Challenger Deep for over 3 years, just in the computer, before we even made the thing. And then, of course, we pressure tested it over and over and over, and so on. So, this is a mature art, and many people in the community were very concerned about this sub, and a number of the top players in the deep submergence engineering community even wrote letters to the company saying that what they were doing was too experimental to carry passengers and that needed to be certified, and so on. So I'm struck by the similarity of the Titanic disaster itself, where the captain was repeatedly warned about ice ahead of his ship, and yet he steamed at full speed into an ice field on a moonless night, and many people died as a result. And for a very similar tragedy where warnings went unheeded to take place at the same exact site, with all the diving that's going on all around the world, I think it's just astonishing. It's really quite surreal. And of course, PH Nargelet, the French legendary submersible dive pilot, a friend of mine. It's a very small community. I've known PH for 25 years. For him to have died tragically in this way is almost impossible for me to process. I didn't hear about it until I woke up Monday morning. I immediately got on the phone to some of my other contacts in the deep submersible community. Within about an hour, I had the following facts. They were on descent. They were at 3,500 meters, heading for the bottom at 3,800 meters. Comms were lost and navigation was lost. And I said instantly, you can't lose comms and navigation together without an extreme catastrophic event, a highly energetic catastrophic event. And the first thing that popped to mind was an implosion. So I felt in my bones what had happened. So this entire week has just felt like a prolonged nightmarish charade where people are running around talking about banging noises and talking about oxygen and all this other stuff, and their Coast Guard is out with airplanes. I knew that sub was sitting exactly underneath its last known depth and position. And that's exactly where they found it. Ocean Gate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing. I think that's pretty clear. I wish I had been more vocal about that, but I think I was unaware that they weren't certified because I wasn't really studying it. I wasn't really interested. Stockton Rush asked me if I wanted to go out there and dive this season. I wasn't interested. There was a lot of concern about this outfit and this sub. A lot of concern, even to the extent that I wasn't involved in it because I was making Avatar 2 at the time, but a lot of them got together and wrote a letter to Ocean Gate and said, you have to certify. You cannot take people down. It's irresponsible, and it could lead to catastrophe. Monday morning, when I first found out about the incident, got on a whole bunch of calls and emails. It's a small community. Within an hour and a half, I had the following information. They were on descent. They were at 3,500 feet. They lost comms and tracking. The last one being the critical one, because the transponder that's used to track a sub during descent and on the bottom is a fully autonomous system. It's in its own pressure housing, and it has its own battery power. So for them to lose comms and tracking at the same time, sub was gone. There was no question in my mind. For days, I tried to run other scenarios that could account for it. I could come up with nothing. So the next thing I did was contacted a few more people and managed to track down, there are acoustic networks around. Some are research, some are intelligence. We got confirmation within an hour that there had been a loud bang at the same time that that comms were lost. A loud bang on the hydrophones, loss of transducer or transponder, loss of comms. I knew what happened. Sub imploded. I sent emails to everybody I know. I said, we've lost some friends. The sub has imploded. It's on the bottom in pieces right now. I sent that out Monday morning. I never believed in that technology of wound carbon fiber, wound filament, cylindrical hull. I thought it was a horrible idea. I wish I'd spoken up, but I assumed somebody was smarter than me, because I'd never experimented with that technology, but it just sounded bad on its face because we make pressure hulls out of contiguous material, steel, titanium, ceramic, acrylic. And so you can model it, you can do finite element analysis of it. And, you understand the yield properties, you understand the number of cycles that it can take. But you can't do that with a composite material because it's two dissimilar materials, sort of bonded together. And so we all knew that the danger was delamination and progressive failure over time with microscopic water ingress and fatigue, what they call cycling fatigue. And we knew that if the sub passed its pressure test, it wasn't going to fail on the first dive. It might fail on dive 7, or I don't know what they're at, but it's going to fail over time, which is insidious. You don't get that with steel or with titanium. Now there's one wreck lying next to the other wreck for the same damn reason.
He says it very clearly. Ocean Gate was not certified. He also says he knew it was an implosion immediately he heard the story and that they were all dead. This is a guy who has done it for more than 25 years. I also don't understand why Ocean Gate was experimenting too much with materials when it looks like the method the likes of James Cameron were using were working just fine. What do you think about this, guys? Please drop a comment. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe as well.